The old building stood alone, its decaying walls rising from the mist, like a forgotten monument to something darker. Hidden away on the edge of a quiet town, it had long been abandoned, a relic of a time that no one wanted to remember. But whispers still lingered. Whispers of things that happened there, of echoes that refused to fade. Lena had heard the stories. Everyone had. The abandoned structure had earned a reputation over the years, its walls soaked in the blood of those who had passed through its doors. The sound of screams was said to echo through the halls at night, and sometimes, if you were unlucky enough, you could still hear them. Lena wasn't one to believe in ghosts or curses. To her, it was all just folklore, the kind of thing you told children to make them behave. But curiosity had always been her constant companion, and after a few drinks with friends one evening, she found herself walking toward the darkened building. The gates were locked, but not very securely. The rusted hinges creaked as she pushed them open, the sound sending a shiver up her spine. The air inside was thick with dust, a faint metallic scent lingering in the stale atmosphere. Her flashlight barely illuminated the path ahead as she ventured deeper into the grounds. The main entrance had been shattered long ago, the wooden doors splintered and broken. She stepped over the threshold, feeling the weight of history press down on her. Inside, the building stretched out in a labyrinth of empty halls and forgotten rooms. But it wasn't the silence that unsettled her. It was the feeling that she wasn't alone. Lena continued down a corridor, the beam of her flashlight catching on peeling wallpaper and cracked mirrors. Every now and then, she could hear faint footsteps behind her, though when she turned, there was never anyone there. The air felt heavier with each step, as if the walls themselves were watching her, waiting. And then, she heard it, a low, guttural sound, like a soft, anguished whisper, drifting through the hall from the darkened room ahead. It was a voice, but it wasn't human. It was more like a cry, one that had been trapped here for years, longing to be heard. Lena's heart raced. She told herself it was nothing, just the wind, the house settling, anything but a ghost. But her instincts told her otherwise. She hesitated for a moment, but the voice beckoned her forward, pulling her toward the room at the end of the hall. As she stepped closer, the temperature dropped sharply, her breath misting in the air. She shone the flashlight into the room and froze. There, in the far corner, stood a woman. Her figure was pale, her face obscured by long black hair that hung like a veil. She was motionless, her back turned toward Lena. The air around her seemed to pulse with a presence that made Lena's skin crawl. The whispering grew louder, more desperate, as if urging Lena to leave, to turn back before it was too late. But Lena couldn't move. Her legs felt like stone as the woman slowly turned, her face finally coming into view. It was twisted, warped, as if the years of suffering had taken their toll. Her eyes were empty, and her mouth stretched into a grotesque smile. Too wide, too unnatural. Blood stained her clothes, seeping into the fabric in dark, crimson pools. The room seemed to darken as she moved closer, her gaze locking onto Lena with a cold intensity. Lena wanted to scream, to run, but her body refused to obey. The woman's mouth parted, and the whispering grew louder, clearer. The words were unintelligible, foreign, but the meaning was clear. "You should never have come." And then, the woman lunged. Lena stumbled backward, her heart pounding in her chest as the flashlight slipped from her hand, clattering to the floor. She turned and ran, her feet stumbling over the uneven floor, her breath ragged as she raced toward the exit. But the building seemed to stretch endlessly, its halls twisting in ways that made no sense, pulling her deeper into the maze. Every step she took, the whispers grew louder, more frantic. They were everywhere now, pressing in on her from all directions, like they were coming from the very walls. She could feel her sanity slipping, the weight of the past crushing down on her as she tried to find her way out. Finally, She burst through the door and into the cold night air, the building's dark silhouette looming behind her like an ever-present shadow. Her legs gave out, and she collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. Her mind racing. She didn't dare look back. As she lay there, her body trembling, the whispers faded into the night. But she knew, deep down, that they would always be there, waiting for her. The building would always be there, calling to her, hungry for her soul. And the woman with the twisted smile would never stop watching, never stop waiting for the next person to wander too close to the forgotten hall. Lena didn't know if she would ever return, but she knew one thing for sure. Some places, some ghosts, never let go. They linger, waiting in the darkness, where no one can hear their cries, until the next fool comes along, just like she did. And when they do, the cycle begins again.
Thank you for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed this eerie tale, don't forget to leave a like, and if you crave more chilling narratives, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. Until next time.